He's the first member of the DK crew, but just how much tail did he kick in competitive Smash Bros? Today, I'm taking a look at the evolution of Donkey Kong throughout Smash history, starting from the N64 and going all the way to Ultimate, and I'm gonna answer the question everybody has. Just how good was Nintendo's King of Kongs actually? Also, is this the last Donkey Kong video I'm gonna make? Hell no, dude. Are you kidding? Hey, thank you so much to Displate for sponsoring today's video. Hey, so have you ever lived anywhere? Then you probably know the pain that is decorating your new space. You want it to feel like yours, but those plain ugly walls are super intimidating and you're probably terrified of losing your deposit. Displate produces metal posters that mount with a magnet, so no drilling or nailing into the wall and no power tools required. They're stupid easy to set up. You just stick a leaf to the wall, and since the entire poster is made from lightweight steel, you can just slap one right on and you're good to go. They have an enormous catalog with over 2 million designs. I just got sent a few cool ones for things like TF2, which is the GOAT, and Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is also the GOAT. And unlike a paper poster, the colors actually stay vibrant and it really does look premium when it's mounted to the wall. Plus, the magnet mounting makes switching between posters really easy if I ever want to change up the look of my studio. I actually bought myself a couple of Displates prior to getting this deal, so hopefully that says a little bit about how I feel about this product. So if you want to add some pop to your living space, you can use my discount code link in the description or my code WALT to get up to 33% off for 3 Displates. Thanks again to Displate for supporting the channel, and I hope you enjoy today's video. Pizza Planet! Woo! Yeah! Donkey Kong is definitely the closest thing Smash 64 has to a grappler, the fighting game archetype that relies on the threat of powerful grabs and throws. With the exception of Samus and Link's tether grabs, Donkey Kong has the longest grab in the game, and thanks to his surprisingly solid ground speed, that range is pretty threatening. DK's throws are very strong, especially his back throw in 64. His unique cargo throw mechanic has the potential to lead into devastating follow-ups, and while most characters can escape stuff like a cargo forward throw into forward air spike, it's a difficult enough execution test that gets punished with death on failure. And of course, against characters with poor recoveries, DK can simply grab them and take both his stock and the opponent's by putting them in the cargo hold and walking off stage. Thanks to a quirk in how his cargo throw works in 64's engine, Donkey Kong actually had an infinite throw trap that was banned in most competitive play up until around 2023. Whenever Donkey Kong initiates a forward throw, he deals 8% damage to the opponent and starts carrying them on his back. You can then choose to throw forward or back for another 8%, which is cool and all, but the infinite throw trap chooses to do neither. Instead, it opts to just hold the player there until they break free from the grab. At low percents, most characters have a fast enough option to escape from this situation, but the amount of time the grab player is left stunned after the release scales with damage. And at a certain point against most of the cast, Donkey Kong can simply re-grab and do it all over again. This was less problematic as a way to actually take stocks, and more problematic for 1, being really annoying, and 2, allowing for Donkey Kong players with a lead to stall out the timer. However, counterplay was developed to the point where players are better at forcing escape options like frame 1 moves like Mario Tornado, or by teching the knockdown on the throw release, and the presence of this counterplay has led to allowing the technique back in competitive play. I don't think you should really expect to see much of it though. It was pretty obviously a technique that was banned more because it's deeply unfun than because it made Donkey Kong broken. Donkey Kong is still considered a low tier even in the Wild West that is the post-unban meta. His weaknesses are pretty, well, big, like him. Any benefits from his heavy weight allowing him to survive large hits are far outweighed by how easy it is to combo that massive frame. And then there's his recovery. Donkey Kong's up special, Spinning Kong, gives the ape pretty solid horizontal movement, but it builds almost no height, meaning a gorilla caught off stage without a double jump is about as good as dead. The move has some intangibility on startup, but later on in the move, only his lower arms are invincible, meaning he can get dunked on from above pretty freely. He's also just really vulnerable to getting poked by tilts or certain smash attacks from opponents waiting for him at the ledge. The result here is that Donkey Kong basically has to treat neutral like any hit could lead to death. The good news though is that Donkey Kong's hits are similarly scary for his opponents. In particular, DK can do some absolutely heinous stuff with his up air on the side platforms of Dreamland. By the way, Donkey Kong's up tilt and up air are pretty funny in this game. They're basically the same move except like one's in the air. The official move names fully admit this too. Up tilt is called spiderweb clearing and up air is called mid-air spiderweb clearing. What? Speaking of, up tilt, spiderweb clearing is decent enough. It covers a lot of space and kills at higher percents, but up air is by far Donkey Kong's scariest move in the 64 kit. It doesn't hit hard at all, but it is lightning quick. The platforms on Dreamland, which is the game's only competitive legal stage, are also perfectly placed for him to be able to hit the move and land on a platform just a few frames later. DK's up air typically has heavy landing lag, which makes juggles difficult, but by landing in the move's auto-cancel window, which naturally happens with a well-timed full hop up air above a platform, Donkey Kong lands with no lag and the world is suddenly his oyster. Or banana. The most common follow-up is to go into an up smash, but Donkey Kong has so much frame advantage here that he can basically just do imagination and pick whatever move he wants. This makes Donkey Kong a great example of how even Smash 64's low tiers have to be feared when piloted by the right player. Up air isn't the only scary combo starter in his kit. Down air, besides being a vicious offstage spike, can bounce opponents up perfectly for up smashes and has a surprising amount of active frames, making it perfect for tech chasing. He has numerous strong finishers in his smash attacks, back air and forward air. His throws are great at forcing early edgeguard situations or just taking stocks outright. DK doesn't really struggle at all to take stocks once he finds a hit. Unfortunately, none of that is quite good enough to outweigh his really unfortunate defensive attributes. Having a devastating punish game doesn't exactly make you special in Smash 64, and the characters he's competing with are much faster and much smaller. DK doesn't even get to enforce a range advantage against these smaller characters because many of them have disjointed as hell hitboxes that can just beat him out despite his larger limbs. The result is that despite his explosiveness, his propensity for getting hit off stage once and dying pretty pathetically has left him in 64's bottom tier, and regularly in consideration for being one of, if not the worst characters in the game. Alright, you guys asked for it and kept asking for it and made a bunch of jokes about me making a million Donkey Kong videos, but this is basically the same thing. Here we go. The main idea behind the big gorilla is still more or less the same in Melee. He's still trying to get those ugly mitts on you first and foremost, but Donkey Kong received one of the most significant reworks of Smash 64's base cast in the game's sequel, both in terms of actual move changes and just, like, vibes, I guess. Moves like his back air and up air now have much sharper animation, so no more mid-air spiderweb clearing. Now he's just hitting you with his head. You can tell just how much Nintendo and Rare figured out about how they wanted to bring Donkey Kong to life in 3D between the release of Smash 64 and Melee. He's much more like his DK64 appearance in Melee, both in design and the way he moves. Just like in 64, Donkey Kong is an absolute menace under platforms. It doesn't really matter that his new up air has a little bit more startup because it is just as nasty of a juggle tool. He also benefits incredibly from the addition of vertical throws, specifically in tandem with his cargo throw. Cargo up throw sets up the opponent perfectly for, you guessed it, juggles, which can be extended to truly insane lengths when platforms enter the picture. As a general rule, these combos are more effective on fast fallers, and this gives Donkey Kong a terrifying punish game against some of the game's strongest characters like Fox, Falco, and Falcon. His combo game against the rest of the cast is still plenty strong though, don't get me wrong. He just usually has to cut things off 1 or 2 hits earlier, and he does have to work maybe a little bit harder to get a kill as a result against characters like Jigglypuff and Peach, who don't have to necessarily fear extended strings off of cargo up throw to nearly the degree of the rest of the cast. DK's also actually decently fast in Melee. He's top 10 in initial dash, run speed, and air speed. The monkey can definitely move a little bit. He can struggle a bit to approach as he lacks good quick moves in front of him. His shield is also just a bit too small, not helped by the fact that his tie is actually a hurt box that can sometimes wind up outside of the shield. Luckily, this can be mitigated by approaching with his back facing the opponent, where his shield has better coverage. And perhaps more importantly, he can do this when his back is to the opponent. Donkey Kong has more potent aerials for finishing power or combo extensions, but his back air is the key to his neutral, an exceptional poke tool that gives him a much needed quick, disjointed option to hold and claim space. It allows him to put up a wall in neutral a la Jigglypuff, and it makes his platform movement that much scarier, as good platform positioning gives him so many different angles to threaten back air. The threat of back air is a necessary tool to force opponents into shield, which enables his grab punishes, which makes it one of his most centralizing moves. The other key to his neutral is the incredible power of crouch cancel. The ability to reduce knockback by crouching in Melee sometimes allows Donkey Kong to get a reversal into grab when he's hit by low knockback moves. And his heavy weight means the window where he gets to CC is a lot larger than for most other characters. Since DK's grab reward is just so insane, knowing what moves are crouch cancelable and until what percent is absolutely key to fighting this character at the highest level. Swing into him with the wrong hit and you are eating massive percent, if not an entire stock loss. DK's up special is still pretty underwhelming as a recovery move, but it does have enough horizontal drift to give DK players a few mix-up options when recovering. Now don't get it twisted, it is still disastrous to get hit below the stage line, and DK remains one of the easier characters to kill early in Melee, but with feet planted safely on the ground, DK's up special is actually one of the best moves in the game. It's insanely fast, it has intangibility, and it can set up for early edge guards if not kill outright. It's also one of the best reversal options in the game, and gives Donkey Kong a critical get-off-me tool to deal with characters that would otherwise be able to just mash on his shield, as well as a way to blow up shielding opponents who are antsy to get away from his grab pressure. It can be used to grab the ledge, and it can even be used as an edge guarding tool against characters like Space Animals, whose recoveries can be pretty vulnerable if you can tap them once off stage. Donkey Kong didn't particularly benefit from Melee's addition of side specials, as Headbutt is among the most useless. It at least gives him an option to stall off stage with a hitbox, but the hit itself can be meteor cancelled, so it's not particularly useful as an attack even if you do have the incredibly hard read. In terms of competitive history, DK's been kind of winding on this weird road. His raw power had people thinking he was decent at first with a few high-level placements. Then as the 20XX movement took over and Donkey Kong's neutral and recovery issues became more of a problem, he pretty much dropped off the face of the earth. But in recent years, and if you've been watching my channel for like the last couple of years, you probably know this already, but particularly since the pandemic and the rise of Slippy, DK has found his way back into the meta. His insane punish game against the Spaceys makes it worth suffering through matchups like Jigglypuff, Sheik, and Captain Falcon, where he can get outpunished and is otherwise outclassed. The DK player base has also grown significantly in that time, and they have optimized the hell out of this character, finding ways to squeeze everything they can out of the ape. The scrolls can be found at cookbook.gg, and if you're curious about the technical stuff, definitely check that out and also watch any of these DK videos that I've done in the last couple of years. DK still fights an uphill battle even in 2026 though, but the last few years have proven that he definitely has a place in the Melee metagame. Despite bottoming out at 22nd out of 26 characters on the tier list at one point in time, DK now sits at a respectable 16th thanks to all the dedicated players who have proven it in bracket. Just like in Smash 64, this Donkey Kong is going to die early and a lot of his approaches are going to get stuffed out, but he's a bit more mobile and his already great punish game just got even better with his full grappling power realized thanks to the addition of cargo up throw. He's a mid-tier, don't get me wrong, but one you definitely need to respect, and he definitely came back to kick some tail in Melee. Brawl actually looked like it might be Donkey Kong's time for a hot second. Like most returning Melee characters, Donkey Kong's combo game was absolutely gutted, torn to shreds by the new mechanic hit stun canceling, which allowed players to air dodge much earlier into combos and rendering the vast majority of his useful combos from Melee obsolete. This most notably affected the cargo up throw stuff, but he did receive a number of light buffs. DK actually lives up to his DK rap verse in this game. Brawl DK is bigger, weight increased by 2 units, faster, and many of his moves are stronger too. His normals received a bunch of small buffs, most notable being the new arm intangibility on DK's forward tilt and up tilts, essentially turning them into swords. His down tilt didn't get the sword treatment, but hits farther and gained a 40% trip chance, letting DK roll the dice for a chance at a big follow-up. His smash attacks aren't much easier to hit, but they hit much harder, so the reward at least feels like it reflects the difficulty of a read a bit more. Donkey Kong can really enforce a range advantage against a bunch of characters in Brawl as a result of these changes, and so even though his grab game was significantly nerfed, he did get stronger when he actually swings. With these buffs, there were actually a few believers in early Donkey Kong, and he had some solid early results. But as the game developed, which is to say as people camped harder and leveraged chain grabs more and more and probably just ended up playing Meta Knight, he plummeted down the tier list. He peaked at 10th on the game's first tier list, but bottomed out at 23rd out of 36, only climbing up 2 more spots to finish at 21st on the final official tier list. In truth, this actually isn't all too different from DK's position in Melee, but the gap between Brawl's top tiers and Brawl's mid tiers is just so massive compared to the gap between Melee's top tiers and mid tiers. While Melee DK is very threatening to top tier threats like Fox and Falco, Brawl DK just can't hang against the likes of Meta Knight or Ice Climbers, and he gets severely beat down by Brawl's best zoners like Olimar and Falco. DK does tremendously against the bottom half or so of the cast though. Some characters have shockingly difficult matchups into him like Ness and Lucas. who can suffer from an infinite grab release combo similar to what DK had in Smash 64. This actually only works on the PK kids though, due to some shenanigans in how their grab release animations were coded. Brawlternative has a great video explaining why this makes the Marth Ness matchup practically unwinnable for Ness, and it's a similar concept for DK of all characters. But unfortunately for Donkey Kong, the matchups where he gets to flex his heavy weight and solid range and powerful hitboxes just aren't the ones he's likely to run into in a tournament setting. And as a result, his strong placements in brawl brackets were very few and far between, with only a couple of dedicated players carrying the character for the most part. His up special isn't the killing option it was in Melee, but it's still an excellent get out of jail free card, as Donkey Kong has even better control over its movement here, and it does a ton of damage. A whopping 36% in the very rare case where every single hit connects. His back air suffers from more landing lag, but it can now be used twice in a single short hop, making it an incredible spacing tool and allowing DK players to really set up a wall. There was actually some real potential here if they had let Donkey Kong have any semblance of the grab game he had before. But when you watch high-level Donkey Kong players play, they pretty much just choose to toss opponents offstage with a horizontal throw and try to edgeguard afterwards. It can definitely work, but it's far from the guaranteed rewards Donkey Kong earned off his grab in Melee, and certainly not the reward you'd expect from the game's grappler. As such, like the rest of Brawl's mid-tiers, he was mostly a non-factor in major tournament play. Melee Donkey Kong was mid, Brawl Donkey Kong was mid, so therefore Project M can give Donkey Kong a few buffs and it'll be just fine, right? 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 Oh no! Okay, PM DK inherits most of Melee and Brawl's DK's best attributes. He's faster and has the arm intangibility like Brawl DK, even gets a buff that DK wouldn't receive in the mainline games until Ultimate, where his giant punch no longer puts him into freefall off stage. His model is bigger and his moves are bigger, which gives him more range, and he even has more effective range thanks to those speed buffs. He has the combo game of Melee DK, except with the help of PM DK's extra speed and stuff like his dash attack jump cancel to open up some truly insane punish routes. The headbutt spikes instead of meteor smashes, making it an actually useful edgeguarding tool, and a reversal that has to be respected off stage. Forward air is also just a spike now. Donkey Kong is just constantly killing people off the bottom of the screen in PM. The addition of Brawl's reverse aerial rush finally allowed Donkey Kong to approach with his back to the opponent without having to break your fingers doing zero wind punch cancels. Neutral air is safe enough that it's also a solid approach option thanks to its nasty shield pressure. If you can imagine it, it probably got buffed somehow. But dash attack is probably the single biggest move rework that DK received between Melee/Brawl and PM, one that's just a way better move, but also reflects the character much better as well, to the point where the rolling dash attack would come back for future official Smash games, although without the jump cancel. DK also was finally given an attack for when he presses down B in the air, a clap that stalls him for a bit. It's not exactly a central part of his neutral, but it hits pretty hard and the stall is nice for both recovery and for messing with juggle timings. So how good is Project M Donkey Kong? And the answer is, what if you gave Melee Donkey Kong actual boxing and zoning tools? The answer is that character would be pretty damn good. He never quite broke into top tier according to official tier lists, but in the fairly balanced meta that PM and P+ have offered, Donkey Kong is definitely good enough to win tournaments. There were multiple players who pushed Donkey Kong's meta throughout PM and P+ history, and he was pretty consistently a threat no matter what patch was played. He ranked 11th in PM out of 41 characters and 10th out of 42 in P+, making these games by far the strongest Donkey Kong has ever been. Smash 4 was a wild ride for Donkey Kong. At first, he looked like he had a lot of the same problems as Brawl Donkey Kong. He got a few more kill moves, non-cargo back throw got some of its old power back, as did up special, and they copied the PM idea of giving him an attack in the air, although Nintendo's version was a very powerful, albeit difficult to connect two-hit spike. Early Smash 4 DK still had the same problems of an easily exploitable recovery, rough neutral game, and his already extremely comboable hurt box that was made even bigger. That hit stun canceling mechanic that destroyed Donkey Kong's throw combo game in Brawl was toned down quite a bit in 4, but not enough to save his cargo up throw combos, at least at the important percents where his powerful up air would threaten to kill off the top. Shields were insanely strong in Smash 4, which meant a throw combo into a kill would have been a godsend for Donkey Kong. Instead, DK was pretty easily shield camped, just like he was in Brawl. However, Smash 4's early metagame revolved around custom special moves thanks to the truly absurd decision by EVO to run these moves in their 2015 bracket. As this was expected to be the biggest tournament of the year, most local scenes went ahead and ran customs. Most characters that were good in the customs meta were the same characters that were good anyway. Think Diddy Kong, Sheik, Rosalina, and Fox that were still among the best characters in the game, even when running their default special loadout. But there were some characters with absolutely game-changing specials, and Donkey Kong was one of them. Storm Punch, a custom giant punch that had a wind effect, was amazing for edgeguarding. But the real star of the show was Kong Cyclone, a version of DK's up B that is just better in every single way. It auto-cancels, it has super armor, it has a suction effect, it's stronger, it's a better recovery move, it's like better Brawl Meta Knight's Tornado. Why? Why? It really does evoke the same feelings as Brawl Meta Knight Tornado, and while no, it's not quite as good as that monstrosity, it was absolutely centralizing to the format. It wasn't terribly uncommon to tune into a local during the customs meta and see two windy Kongs going at it. This was arguably the best custom move in the entire game, and it single-handedly made Donkey Kong worth consideration. He didn't wind up reaching top 32 at EVO, but there were a number of DKs in top 64, enough for DK to already say that he had a better go of it in the Smash 4 era than he did the Brawl era. Without customs, Donkey Kong was just back to a low-tier life. He was a little faster than Brawl, but so was most of the game, so he felt a bit slow. The new ledge mechanics that killed ledge hogging also helped his recovery, but in Smash 4, pretty much every character had a strong enough recovery to almost always get back to the stage. DK was one of the few characters on this roster who was easily edgeguarded, as there was still a weak spot at the top of his head when he used up special to make it back to stage. DK just didn't have the access to early kills to make up for just how easy he was to wall out and edgeguard. And then the dreaded patch 1.1.0 hit, which updated Donkey Kong's cargo up throw to have significantly less base knockback. Now, that might sound like a nerf, but this was arguably one of the biggest buffs that any character had ever received in Smash 4. The result of the lessened base knockback was that cargo up throw left opponents in a perfect spot for follow-ups, from low percents all the way to kill percents. DK wasn't the first Kong to have a busted throw follow-up in Smash 4 though. Diddy Kong had the hoo-ha in the game's first patch, an insanely easy and powerful down throw to up air kill confirm, and so the community also had to give DK's throw combo a name. The kill confirm granted by patch 1.1.0, a rising cargo up throw into a double jump up air, reminiscent of DK's melee combo tree, became known as the Ding Dong, a name that strikes fear into anybody who played Smash 4. That's why. Now, was Donkey Kong a good character even after this change? No, not really, but goddamn he was scary, because the cargo up throw change also gave DK some very potent low percent combos as well. He now only needed like 3 openings to take most stocks, 2 grabs to rack up damage, and a final grab to take the kill with the Ding Dong. It could even be lowered to just 2 grabs if DK managed to extend the first juggle or had a ton of rage. In a 2-stock game, that is absolutely terrifying. There were a few strong Donkey Kong mains in Smash 4, to be sure, but DK's real place in the meta was as the kind of secondary character that people could bust out in a pinch. Surprisingly enough, DK was a pretty common answer into some top tiers like Cloud. DK definitely didn't beat Cloud, but Cloud was at a perfect combo weight for the Ding Dong. The window for the combo actually got even larger when Limit was active, and Cloud's gravity and fall speed increased. So as a result, DK became one of Smash 4's toughest mentality checks, because even if you did have a winning matchup into him, if you lost patience and you got grabbed, you just died. And the game plan wasn't just centralized around this. DK definitely had some other assets for sure. His ledge trapping was amazing, as his down tilt was the perfect length for him to just sit at roll distance and spam it, allowing him to react to most options at ledge, hitting jumps with up tilt and grabbing grounded options like roll or get up attack. His down tilt was still an amazing tool in general, and the trip chance only became scarier when his cargo throw got buffed. His back air is as spammable as ever, an incredible spacing and edge guarding tool. The punch still hit like a truck, and even the non-windy version of Spinning Kong got a decent kill power buff. His jab was actually incredible, like hands down it was really good. It was capable of setting up kills by leading into either grab or turnaround up tilt, which had a disturbingly powerful sweet spot hitbox at DK's armpit that comboed if executed with a perfect pivot. But despite all of that, the Ding Dong hardly made DK a perfect character. He still had plenty of issues approaching, got walled out by characters with big disjoints, and was total combo food. But he was particularly well suited to the meta's power spikes, as even godlike top tier DLC like Bayonetta, Cloud, and Ryu still died to 3 grabs just like everybody else. Now, should they get grabbed 3 times? No, absolutely not, but hey, that's why we play the game. So even though he was possibly one of the least well-rounded characters in Smash 4's cast, DK remained relevant all the way to the bitter end. He ranked 22nd on the game's final tier list, comfortably within the top half, which was kind of hard to imagine upon Smash 4's release. But that's just the power of the ding dong at work, and I'm doing very serious work with my life, I'm sure. There was really only one question with Donkey Kong as Ultimate released. Would the ding dong come back? The answer to that was a resounding no, at least mostly. DK still had really strong early percent combos out of cargo up throw, but Ultimate's version of cargo up throw had just a bit too much knockback to combo at percents where up throw would take the stock if you tried to do it like the Smash 4 version, with a rising up throw into double jump up air. In order to get a KO off of a cargo up throw in Ultimate, DK mains now had to set it up using a platform, both making it much more situational and reducing the percent range at which it worked. It doesn't help that DK has a generally harder time finding those grabs. His grabs are significantly slower across the board, but perhaps more relevant is the fact that aerials are way safer in Smash Ultimate than they were in Smash 4. So many aerials led to a shield grab or even a dash grab for Donkey Kong in Smash 4, but in Ultimate, DK can't just rely on shield grabbing nearly as much, and since it takes so much longer to release shield in Ultimate compared to 4, dash grab punishes are pretty much always out of the question. However, DK did get some nice buffs in Ultimate. His dash attack recovers faster, allowing him to combo out of it, including some really nasty potential to follow up with stuff like a forward air spike. Giant Punch no longer puts him into the helpless special fall state, allowing him to use it for early offstage kills. Headbutt gets super armor earlier in the move, and buried opponents get hit harder, giving him a pseudo counter that can potentially turn into a kill. Grounded Spinning Kong's armor comes in much earlier, making it a nasty reversal option, especially in combination with how safe so many of DK's moves are on shield. Stuff like back air into up B and punch into up B could now frame trap opponents and kill them fairly early if they tried to counterattack. His aerial down special became much better, both significantly safer and granting much better reward for hits on stage, potentially linking into stuff like up smash and up airs for KOs. But none of these really made up for the loss of the ding dong. Over the pandemic, Donkey Kong got another really nice series of buffs. His Nair became both better and safer, his up B became a truly absurd early KO option, and punch and forward tilt got slight buffs too. These weren't enough to push him into top tier or anything, but it was enough to make his punish game sufficiently scary, especially in combination with top level DKs getting better at hitting the more specific version of the ding dong present in Ultimate. That punish game was enough to make him a solid mid tier who can be a really scary opponent, although he struggled enough with projectiles and other characters that could wall him out that you'd probably want a secondary if you were to compete seriously with him. Donkey Kong's managed to work his way back into a similar sort of anti-meta spot as he occupied in Smash 4, but the top tier in this game, like Steve, just aren't quite as favorable to Donkey Kong's game plan, and his grab combo is just a bit too situational for him to be as powerful as he was back in Smaforge. As usual, he gets shut down by a lot of characters that can effectively wall out with disjoints or projectiles, and there are a lot of those in Ultimate. Post buffs though, he's shown enough power for multiple players to pilot him into major top 8s. I don't know if he's ever going to be a tournament favorite, and playing him without a secondary in 2026 is probably asking to suffer against Ultimate's many zoners, but there's absolutely a place for Donkey Kong in the meta. There always will be for somebody who can kill you at like 60 off of a grab, no matter how convoluted the setup gets. Donkey Kong was 70th out of 82 on the first Ultimate tier list, released between the first set of big buffs DK got in patch 6.0 and the second one he received in patch 13.0.1. Once all of those buffs were in place, he was able to rise all the way to 53rd, which still sounds pretty bad compared to his Smash 4, Melee, and even Brawl rankings, but the quote-unquote bad characters in Ultimate are far more balanced than in the prior 3 games. I'm not really sure if Ultimate DK's achievements quite stand up to what the character has done in Melee or Smash 4 yet, but there's still time, and there's definitely a precedent set for characters with insane grab kill confirms to thrive in late meta Smash. I mean, Donkey Kong himself has done it twice now, so maybe the best for Ultimate DK is still yet to come. So, which Donkey Kong was the leader of the bunch? That title definitely goes to Project M DK, but within the mainline Smash games, it's probably a little more debatable. By raw tier list placement, the answer is Smash 4 DK, but the developments from Melee DK in recent years have definitely made it a tight competition. Ultimate DK comes after that, followed by Brawl, and the unfortunate Smash 64 Donkey Kong brings up the rear. A character like Donkey Kong, a literal big lumbering gorilla, was always going to face an uphill battle in a genre ruled by small and fast characters. But despite that, Smash's Great Ape has managed to find his niche most of the time, which is to say, if he grabs you, it's probably gonna hurt. Thanks for watching. Big thank you to Avishua Stein, Bobby Wasabi, Brent Mukai, Carter Roberts, Dark Gen X, Eric is Cool, Gambill, Gustavo Cantu Fernandez, James Fabman, Justin Duncan Mills, Kyle Carlin, Marshall Bradley, Michael Talamo, Prakar Sinha, Rosewood, and Sam Wright.